Hello, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing a series of videos on the Bill of Rights. And for those of you who don't know, the Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments of the U.S. Constitution. I want these to be educational because a lot of people that I talk to online and a lot of my family and friends, they have no idea what their rights are. I did a couple of videos before called Know Your Rights, parts 1 and 2. Pay close attention to those, watch them, and pay attention because they are important. It's important that we know our rights. So, here we go. Let's get into the Second Amendment. In my opinion, it's the most important one. Because without the Second Amendment, we have no defense against tyranny. We do not last as a free people. The Second Amendment is what allows us to remain free. How do you make a slave? The first thing you do is you take away his weapons, his guns, his arms. If the guy hasn't got any arms, any weapons, any way to defend himself, then he can be enslaved. As long as we've got our guns, they can't do that to us. And by they, I mean Democrats. All right. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Seems pretty straightforward. A well-regulated militia. The people make up the militia. Back then, when it was written, we didn't have a standing army. There was no U.S. Army. There was the Continental Army, and there was, every state had its own militia, and that's what they used for defense. And they did that for a reason. Now we have the U.S. Army, which, it's not a bad thing, but it's got some downsides. The U.S. Army can use that if it wanted to. If it becomes tyrannical, the U.S. government can use that army as a cudgel against free people, and it's not a good thing. A militia is run by the state. See, it's like our National Guard. All right. Being necessary to secure a free state. Okay. If somebody tries to invade us, our forefathers knew that we needed a militia to defend ourselves and to remain a free state. If you can't defend yourself, you don't remain free for very long. It's the way of the world. It's been that way for millennia. Okay. Now, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Notice how it's worded. The right of the people. Okay. The right of the people. It doesn't say the government gives you the right to do this. It says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That right already exists. We have it. As human beings, we have that right. Okay? And you hear all these lefties talking about how, it's meant for muskets. It was written for muskets. Okay. Our forefathers were not stupid. Our forefathers knew that arms evolved. Cavemen had rocks. Then they moved up to flint knives. Then they moved up to whatever. Better flint knives. I don't know. But they eventually became bows and arrows. Arquebuy. Muskets. Rifles. AR-15s. AK-47s. My point is, our forefathers knew weaponry and technology evolves. That's why they wrote it in here as arms. Now, when they say arms, are they talking about our arms? No. Because if we don't have the right to keep our arms, what are they going to do, chop them off? That's stupid. Of course we get to keep our arms. When they're talking about arms, it's the same usage as that's an armed individual. He has a weapon. Now, arm is a very broad term. It's all-inclusive. There's not one word in here about muskets or guns or artillery or whatever because it says arms. Arms includes all of that. An arm is anything you can use to defend yourself. Anything. Somebody breaks into your house, all you got's the kitchen knife, use it. That's your arm. You're armed. You have a kitchen knife. If all you can find is a brick, you're armed. You have a brick. You're armed. That's an arm. Okay? A gun is an arm. Thank God. A howitzer is an arm. A flamethrower. Whatever you can use to defend yourself, that's an arm. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. We have that right. We have that right as human beings. The government doesn't give it to us, therefore the government can't take it away. Period. But some of the most important words here, at least to me, are the last four. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's pretty straightforward. Infringed is a broad term, but those four words are pretty straightforward. Shall not be infringed. That is a direct order for the U.S. government. Shall not be infringed means they can't take that right, they can't change that right, they can't impede that right, they can't do anything to that right. Shall not be infringed at all, period. My opinion, shall not be infringed means every federal gun law is illegal by that. Now, states have the right to make their own laws, and if you don't like the laws there, you can move to a different state. That's America. It's awesome. You can be free. But according to the Second Amendment, the way it's worded, and Justice Antonin Scalia of the Supreme Court was very famous for saying it says what it says, and it doesn't say what it doesn't say. This is what it says. Shall not be infringed. Okay? There's no gray area there. There's no question about it. There is no gray area. It's right there. Okay? Now, we're going to move on from that. I hear these Democrats talking about, well, you don't need a 10 rounds to kill a deer. No, if you need 10 rounds to kill a deer, I agree with that. You don't need 10 rounds. If you need 10 rounds to kill a deer, you're a crappy hunter. But then the Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting. Not one thing. Agreed, it makes it easier because throwing rocks is hard. But it's not about hunting. It's about defense against tyranny and defending your life. Those are the two things. Okay? Now, let's get past that and let's do a hypothetical situation. Let's pretend there is no Second Amendment. That was never added. Okay. So we don't have a defense against tyranny. But we have an inherent right to defend our gift of life. If somebody tries to kill you, you can defend yourself. If somebody comes at you with a knife or a gun or a brick or a baseball bat, or if somebody really big comes at you, you have the right to defend your gift of life. If anyone argues that point, you know they're idiots. Okay? You know flat out they're idiots, especially if they're politicians, because they have an ulterior motive. They want your guns for a reason. There's only one reason a politician doesn't want his people armed, and that's because he plans on doing stuff they won't like taking away freedoms, putting people in jail that don't need to be in jail, infringing on our rights, that kind of thing. That's the only reason you want to take away guns. There is no other reason. And people say, well, what about all these mass shootings? Well, those mass shooters were criminals. Okay? The vast majority of gun owners, over 99.999% of them, are decent, law-abiding, loving, wonderful, good people. And just leave us alone. All right. Violent crime. There is violent crime out there. And taking away guns will not stop that. As a matter of fact, statistics have proven that it makes it worse. London right now, you're going to love this. London right now has problems. They have a series of crimes that they're having a lot of problems with because there's a lot of them. London doesn't have any guns, so they're not allowed to. So if the criminals can't get guns illegally, which they do quite a bit, but since they can't get them illegally, they're having a problem now with drive-by stabbings. That's not a joke. I'm being serious. Drive-by stabbings are on the rise in London. London now has higher murder rate than New York, and they're using knives. If the criminals can't get guns, they'll use whatever they can, just like us. If we are not allowed to have guns, I'm going to use whatever I have to do to defend my family, and the consequences be damned. Nobody's going to break in and hurt my family. Period. Okay. People say, well, no, because if they have guns, there's going to be crime. Guns equals crime, and that's just a load of horseshit. It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Wherever there's more legal gun ownership, there's less crime. Okay? It's a contraindicator. I'm going to give you two examples. Houston and Chicago. In Chicago, there's daily shootings. There's gun violence all over the place. People are getting... there's people that call it Chirac because so many people are getting killed. Okay, it's a vicious place, and I wouldn't take my family there if somebody paid me. If you gave me a house in Chicago, I would sell it. I wouldn't move there. Okay? Because of the violence. Guns are illegal in Chicago. They're banned. Okay? Conversely, Houston. Everybody and their uncle owns a gun in Houston. And you know what? Violent crime is real low. Let's look at this from the criminal's point of view. If you have two houses, this guy you know may have a gun, this guy you know does not have a gun. Who are you going to rob? Yeah, you're going for the guy that ain't got a gun. Why? Because he doesn't have a gun. Makes your job easy. That's the way the criminals think. Okay. Women need guns, period. There's a joke out there, the old song, I want to say it was Pinkerton Bowden sung a song, said, there ain't nothing funny about a woman with a gun, and you know what, they're right. They're absolutely right. If some low-life piece of shit goes after my wife, he's screwed, because she's a better shot than I am. She's amazing, okay? She will put him down. She'll put 3 rounds into his chest faster than he can blink an eye. She's really good. Okay, I don't have a problem with my wife driving anywhere and doing whatever she wants, because basically she's a better shot than I am. No, but my point is, I don't worry about her safety, because she's really good and she's armed. People say, well, she should have got a rape whistle. What's a rape whistle do? Alert people you're being raped? There's places in America where the authorities tell women to yell fire when they're being raped, when they're being attacked, because people will respond to a fire. They won't respond. A lot of people don't respond to a call, rape, and because they don't want to get involved. It's asinine, but there it is. Okay, women yell fire, people come running. Okay, rape whistles and restraining orders, I guess legally are okay, but it's going to sound bad, and I don't want it to, because I do not advocate violence in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But if some piece of shit tries to rape you, if you're a woman and some piece of shit tries to rape you, it's a lot harder for him to do that when you shoot him in the chest 3 times. They're a lot less likely to repeat offend if they're shot in the chest. Just saying. Sheriffs. Many sheriffs advocate gun ownership. They know they can't be everywhere. Sheriffs, law enforcement, they're good people. The vast majority of them, you get crackpots and cranks and bad guys everywhere. But for the most part, 99.9% of them are good people. They try to do their best. But they're only human. They can only be in so many places at once. They can't be everywhere. So, and then bad guys know this. So sheriffs advocate gun ownership because in the rural areas, it takes a while for the sheriff to respond. And so in that time, a bad guy can do a lot of damage, especially if he has a gun. All right. Now, as far as these areas where the guns aren't legal, that doesn't stop a criminal from getting a gun because he's a criminal. Criminals do not obey laws, hence the term criminal. See how that works? When you make guns illegal, the only people you're disarming are law-abiding people. Anybody, if having a gun makes you a criminal, then only criminals will have guns. Okay? Now, I am not a violent man. I do not ever plan to shoot anyone or hurt anyone. I'm a peaceful man by nature. But here's some advice, and I'm going to tell you why. Get a gun. Find out what's legal in your area to own. Buy a gun. Buy something you're comfortable with, something you can use. Obey the law. Don't break the law. Practice gun safety. Make sure you're safe. I love everybody out there. I don't want nobody to get hurt. Okay? Practice to be proficient. Go to the gun range. Take a gun safety course. If you're like me, I have my concealed carry. I have taken gun safety courses, and I am confident with my weapon. I carry a pistol. If you're not sure, I personally recommend a revolver because they're easier to use, easier to maintain, they're easier to work with. And some people go, well, you only have 6 rounds. Yeah, but I know I've got 6 rounds. If you've got a magazine of 30 rounds and the first or second one jam, you're done. a jammed weapon in a firefight is not a good thing. I don't care who you are. Revolvers are proven technology. I have never had my .357 Magnum jam on me. It is proven technology and it works. I know it works. I'm confident in that weapon. Simple is better. Too many moving parts to come up the works. That's my opinion. And now if you find a weapon, like people talk really good about Glocks, and I'm sure they're good, but I'm confident with a revolver. Now, I have my concealed carry, and I get this all the time. Well, he want to be a badass. He want to carry a gun and be a badass and shoot people and be like Dirty Harry. That's the stupidest thing I have ever heard. The reason people get a concealed carry license is not so they can go out and murder people. There's a term when you're taking a class, they tell you there's sheepdogs, there's sheep, and there's wolves. The sheepdogs protect the sheep from the wolves. The sheepdog are the concealed carry holders. The sheep are the unarmed innocent civilians. The wolves are the predators, the violent predators that would prey on the sheep. The sheepdog, the concealed carry holder, protects the sheep, the innocent civilians, from the wolves, the violent predators. And those violent predators are out there. If some guy kicks your door in the middle of the night and he's got a weapon and he's threatening your family, what are you going to do? What can you do? You don't have a choice. I do not advocate violence, but if it comes to your life or theirs, live, survive. Okay? And if it helps, think of it like this. If this guy kicks your door down in the middle of the night, he made that choice. That was his choice to do that. He didn't have to do that. There's nobody's out there with a gun forcing him to do it. He did that on his own. If somebody climbs through your window, got a knife into your daughter's bedroom, guess what? He made that choice. Okay? You make the choice to survive and help you, make sure your family survives. I don't want nobody getting hurt. I don't want nobody being a statistic. So take my advice. Get a gun. Make sure it's something you're comfortable with. Make sure it's something you can use. Make sure it's legal. Okay? Don't get an illegal gun. Obey the law. The last thing we want is for somebody to go to jail because they used an illegal gun to protect their family. Practice gun safety. Be safe. I don't want nobody getting hurt. Okay? Accidents happen, but let's prevent as many of them as possible. Practice gun safety. Take a gun safety course. They're wonderful. They're everywhere. You can. They're reasonably affordable. Some of them are free. But my point is, practice gun safety. Practice to be proficient. You don't want to hit anything you're not aiming at. Those bullets come out, and once they come out, they go. And there's not a whole heck of a lot that's going to stop them. Okay? And you want to be able to hit what you aim at. Period. You don't want to hit nothing else. Okay? God forbid you have to shoot somebody, you want to shoot the right somebody, as opposed to the innocent civilian, or your family, or your kid, or whatever. These videos, I tend to ramble and they go long. I made an outline and I've covered it. I hope this answers some questions and makes things a little clearer. That is my ultimate goal. I did the First Amendment before. I just did the Second Amendment in this video, and I hope people are enjoying these. Again, nobody who owns guns is looking to kill people. If they are, they're bad guys. Bad guys shouldn't have guns. Okay? But being bad guys, they don't obey the laws. That's why bad guys have guns. So, again, be safe, take care of yourselves, and read the Second Amendment again. Read it to yourself. Know it. Because it's your rights. They're your rights. Okay? And everybody's got to know them. Have a good day now, everybody. Take care. God bless.